Hi everybody, I'm Kathy Grant. I'm with the City of Lodi as a Watershed Program Coordinator, and we're here today at the Mokelumne Hatchery, and we're going to tour their facility. I've got some good friends with me today. We've got Dina Mason. She's an angler with the Delta Fly Fishers. She's the person that helped many of you classrooms have your tank set up. She's helped fund the program. And we also have the star of the show.
Hello everybody, my name is Derek Baker. I'm a Fish Hatchery Manager 1 for the Mokelumne River Fish Hatchery. And today we're going to go through and show everybody the steelhead spawning processes. We're going to go and look at some yearling steelhead as well as some young fry that we've already spawned this year, and take a look at some of the young the young eggs that we have on hand as well.
In December 2020, Central Valley steelhead were listed as threatened. We really need to appreciate the work of the Mokelumne River Fish Hatchery staff.
These fish are able to reproduce multiple times, so we want to be as little invasive to them and give them back to the Mother Nature as healthy as we can send them back. Another male there, and that's actually a wild one.
How do you know that? Oh, it's got the adipose thing.
So again, yeah, see how big the adipose is?
Yeah. Oh, he's beautiful.
So you can see the hook jaw.
You are beautiful.
This is an adult male steelhead. Hatchery reared because of the lack of the adipose fin, we know that. And this is...
Okay, let's let the students guess. Male or female?
What do you think? Hook jaw or no hook jaw?
Female.
So this is a female steelhead because the nose is a little bit more rounder.
And it's...
No kype. It's a hatchery reared fish because of the lack of the adipose fin. And you can clearly see the vent now being pushed out, which means she's probably pretty close to being able to reproduce and spawn.
This is the vent right here. There's the vent.
Yep.
Wow.
Unlike salmon, steelhead are able to rejuvenate, and after they spawn, go back out to the ocean or delta and come back and reproduce as 2 or 3 different times. So what we're using is oxygen with about 3 psi of pressure behind it to help push the female's eggs out of there. So you can see we've pretty much taken all the eggs out of there. And then what we're doing for genetic diversity and to increase family pairing sizes, we actually take the female's eggs and try to divide them into 2 even parts.
Unlike salmon.
Unlike salmon, yep.
Yep.
Because we have a large population of salmon. And the gentleman behind us is going to bring a male. And we're going to use the male to fertilize. And then he'll bring a second male and fertilize that one. Typically they're able to fertilize eggs with running water. So what we do is we just add a little bit, let them sit again, and now the sperm becomes activated and can actually swim around easier and start to fertilize the female eggs.
So we take the measurement and then we say whether it's a male or female. She's taking a tissue sample that we'll later then take back to our lab and split off to a smaller piece to then send to a geneticist out in Santa Cruz. I took scales. We take scales from every other fish that gets spawned. We take those back to our lab and then mount them on slides so that we can age them later and then compare those with the genetics that we'll get later on in the season or later on in the year.
So every day after we get done handling the fish, we actually go through and add roughly 450 pounds of salt to the raceway. And what that does is just help de-stress the fish from all the activity that we've been going through, whether it's the netting process or actually spawning the females. It helps clean them up, cleans bacteria out of the gills and anything that we may have added to them while we've been handling them. So what we have here is our first lot of steelhead from this season that we spawned. So you can actually see there's about 20,000 young in this tank right now that have only been emerged from what would be the gravel if they were out in Mother Nature. They're just starting to come up on feed, and you can actually see a few of them that didn't survive from the egg process that are still left down in the bottom of the trough. So here's a stack of eyed eggs. As where some of our production is reared within the jars, we use vertical incubator stacks to raise fish as well. So if you look real close, you'll see the difference in the size of the egg, but you can see the eyes inside there very clearly. As these fish reach a mature age and are ready to actually make the journey back out to the ocean, they're going through a process called smoltification. So these are some yearling steelhead, and you can see the lack of the scales starting to pop off on them. Let's see if I can get one out here. So they're starting to go, whoa, 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 whoa. So they're starting to go through and they're chroming up or getting silvered. And that's one of their ways that they're going to help survive once they get out into the ocean. Oh, and gone. And just like salmon, what they're doing is picking up the scent in their natal waters, whether it be in my hatchery or out in the river. They're locking in that scent that says this is where we want to come back to reproduce. As you just seen them rushing up and down the ponds, their body is desiring to want to leave the system. So what they're doing is they'll start running up and down the raceways more and more the closer they're getting to wanting to release and going through that smoltification process.
So we've seen spawning, and we've seen the hatchery where the eggs are taken to hatch out, and then we've seen the raceways where they're put and left for a year, correct?
Right.
What's the next step?
So next we're going to be able to truck them out and put them out into Mother Nature and let them have the best opportunity at life that we could give them.
These are the steelhead yearlings that are being released out into the Mokelumne River at New Hope Marina. There they go. Come on, see. So that's the end of our story. You've stayed with us through this whole adventure where we got to see the steelhead spawned and then put out into the raceways. And then now, a year later, 2020, steelhead has been released out at New Hope Marina, and off the fish are going now towards the Delta. So we thank you for sticking with us. We thank East Bay Mud staff for their patience with us as we try to capture that story so that you can learn something about the Mokelumne River watersheds, one of their superstars, the steelhead. Last year, 1 out of every 2,300 steelhead returned to the Mokelumne River to spawn. These are really special fish and need to be protected. So So Dina, what are you fishing with today?
I'm fishing with probably a green woolly booger. Some type, it's just called a woolly booger.
A woolly booger.
Yeah, a booger. The barb would be what would keep the hook, could keep the fish on the hook. So as it's moving around and you're trying to reel it in, the barb would essentially hook the fish and keep it hooked. So it's really important that we fish without barbs, because we would like to, we'd all like to catch the biggest fish possible, but we're not going to. We're going to catch little fish, and we want to be able to return them to the water so they can grow up, and hopefully we'll catch them when they're bigger. But we want to be able to release them so they're there for other fishing people to catch also. So it's a matter of being good stewards of the animals, of the fish, of nature.
Mm-hmm.